The world stood at attention, awaiting the good news from Washington. Trump. Trump rather frivolously gave humanity hope, attributing to himself the abilities of an archangel who is not only able to heal the planet's chief maniac remotely and immaculately, but also to miraculously conceive in him a desire for peace and a revulsion toward war. One feels sorry for Trump because he had to spend 2 hours listening to a maniac who is vicious, stubborn, and cannot imagine himself without war. In other words, as expected, Trump greatly overestimated his own pharmacological effect. As a remedy to cure the maniac of his obsession, old, Donald proved to be completely powerless. To jump ahead a bit, I'll tell you that the result is, in principle, absolutely zero. Yes. A lot of self-reassuring words were spoken, albeit through gritted teeth. But in reality, the result is zero. Even a nuclear dose of Trump over 2 hours did not ease the condition of the Kremlin patient. This murderer, this war criminal Putin, continues to pontificate about how the terms for him to stop his killings, violence, and looting should be thoroughly discussed. And that if there is some very tempting and strong incentive, then he will consider it. Undoubtedly, a pair of rough, burly orderlies and a strong dose of chlorpromazine would have been more appropriate than Trump and would have achieved much more. There is still no full-fledged response from Trump yet. Some time will pass and he will realize that, of course, he was basically trampled by the Kremlin maniac. But in his place, anyone would have been trampled. The maniac knows how to drown everything in a billion meaningless, repetitive words. It's, like having a conversation with Chikatilo, yes, whom they've invited and are asking Andrei Romanovich, what would it take? What would it take for you to stop raping and cutting out girls' hearts and eyes in the forest belts? And to that he would say, well, maybe someday we'll get there, but it's necessary to eliminate the root causes of my behavior. That will require time and complex negotiation processes. It's clear that the Annunciation never happened and that the situation hasn't changed by even a molecule, despite all the words. What will be the consequence? The consequence, well, I suspect that since Trump-ish, an ambitious, loud person, he'll realize, of course, that he's been played, that he's been made to look powerless. He's been made to look idle and basically a worthless promiser. Whether these will result in an escalation and intensification of the situation is absolutely impossible to predict at this point. But as I said in the previous segment, the issue of Putin and Russia will only be resolved when people realize that solving this problem will come at a considerable cost. You can't just get through to a maniac with a casual chat, a little conversation, or persuasion, and you won't be able to wrest the weapon from his hands that easily. So I assume that indeed, unless something extraordinary happens, the price to be paid will have to be very high.